Journal number 3 for August 10th, 2023 for the Mega Monsters tour with Gojira, Mastodon, and Lorna Shore at the Jacobs Pavilion in Cleveland. So the venue is Jacobs Pavilion, which through the 90s was called Nautica Stage, and then it was called the Scene Pavilion, and the latest is Jacobs Pavilion. I don't know when those name changes happened, but it's changed since I first went there. It's an open air stage which is now covered. Again, my first experiences with that through the 90s was it wasn't covered. So if it rained, you got wet. If it was whatever the weather conditions, you had no protection from the sun or anything like that. So it's downtown Cleveland on the west bank of the Flats, which if you're not familiar with the Flats, basically it's where the Cuyahoga River dumps out into Lake Erie. And there's a west side and an east side, and it used to be a booming area with bars and restaurants, and it's since kind of, I don't know, it's kind of fallen apart a little bit, I guess. So, but the Nautica Stage or the Jacobs Pavilion is still there in use, and it's right next to now the Cleveland Aquarium. So it's got a great view of the city, as well as the river, any traffic that's on the river, so boats and kayakers and all that stuff.
Yeah, we saw a few boats go by there.
We did get to see a few boats. What was the seating arrangement like?
So at the front there was like the pit, or I guess the standing area. Then there was like the general admission seating where you could couldn't you just like sit wherever you wanted?
Yeah, so general admission tickets were good for both the floor as well as a section of the seating that was kind of on the back.
But then we had like our reserved seating in the back, which are sort of like, I think they're sort of like bleachers, I think.
Yeah, so it's all bleachers, but the best seats were reserved. So we opted for those. The price difference wasn't huge, and it was nice to be guaranteed a seat so you weren't trying to make sure you had one. Or to be fair, if you went down to the floor, you could always come back because you had your seat that was up there. They weren't the most comfortable thing. It was like pre-molded,
Yeah.
plastic seats. So
No back support or anything.
No, it would almost been better if it was just flat, I think. But so we got there before the gates opened, right? And so parking.
There wasn't like a parking area or anything. It was just like park wherever you want.
Yeah. So there's parking like there, which is probably for this facility, or also like the Cleveland Aquarium, which is right there in the old powerhouse building. But all that's full just probably because of other activities. So we found there were some random spots underneath the bridge.
Yeah, we were just like, there's other people here, so I guess this is where we park.
Yeah. so I don't know. Someone was handling the parking. At least we gave somebody $20 to park. I have no idea who they were. Could have been just some dude on the street taking money to park there. But it was actually relatively close. Maybe a 5-minute walk, maybe not even that to get over there. So we got there before the gates open. And there was a line.
It was pretty big line, I think.
A rather large line to get in, so we had some concerns about, even once the gates opened, shortly thereafter, like how long would it take to process everybody getting in. But it gave us an opportunity to kind of people watch and whatever. Gates opened and we all got through fairly quickly. So, but what's something that we have seen, like specifically at the Pantera show, that this one did not have?
There was no merch booth outside the venue, which was a big disappointment.
Yeah, as we've learned, like, man, that would have been great because we could have gotten whatever if we were interested in anything and then dropped it off in our car and we were free to go. That did not exist.
Yeah. Plus, what was even worse is when you got in, there was one merch booth that had one line to it.
Yeah, which was always there. So that was a little disappointing. But there wasn't any tailgating with this one. It was a perfect summer day.
Yeah.
Temperature-wise was awesome. No outside merch, and then once we got in, so there's some food vendors, and then there was the one merch thing. So initially we were like, oh, take a look at the merch as we walk by. We'll do it later. And then, man, the line was huge, and it never got shorter. So we're like, oh. So it would have been nice if they would have had 2 options or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because it was just like one line, and then I think, because it did like, which is always annoying, we're like just like splits a bunch, but there's like no one telling you where to go, so we're just like, I guess is how you do it. And I think it was like, it went like, the one line went like here, and then it split off into like 3 parts for like a booth that was for like Gojira and Mastodon, but then Lorna Shore, which was like the opener, had like a super small merch booth over here, so you had to like I guess pick where you wanted to go.
Well, whatever. It was a nightmare to navigate, and if we had known more, we would have literally made a beeline there and gotten that taken care of if that's what we were going to do. But we had our seating, sat down. Did we buy our stuff before? I mean, we'll talk about the merch later, but
I think it was after Lorna Shore, I think.
Oh, you're right, it was. Because we're like, oh, maybe it'll die down, and it didn't. So we learned a valuable lesson on that one. Anyway, so the bands began. So it began with Lorna Shore. It was still daytime at this point.
Yeah.
And did you know anything about Lorna Shore going into them?
I just knew that they were a deathcore band that were like kind of popular. Because some of the YouTubers I watched knew them, and I knew that one song. There's a part where the singer just starts doing like random like animal noises, like all the instruments stop, and he's just going like, "Arr, arr," and it's like I thought it was pretty funny.
Okay, so I had never heard of them or anything about them. So so the deathcore, which it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's okay.
The screaming vocals, again, there's a decent sized amount of people that were interested in watching, kind of people watching. So, so Lorna Shore kind of came and went, a half an hour opener set, and then Mastodon started right after them. So we're getting into dusk, it was starting to get dark, and then so we're familiar with Mastodon. We had the Leviathan album. We've listened to that one. I wasn't really familiar with anything outside of that. But initial reaction was, wow. It was quite a production. The visuals were amazing. The amount of color, they had all these screens behind them and it kind of wrapped around the stage, as well the risers that they had for the keyboardist and the drummer. It was really cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool. So the visuals were awesome to watch. So I didn't know what I was getting into, and that was a great surprise. And then the performance too.
It's great.
Yeah, they got the crowd into it. There was a lot of interaction between the audience and the band members. They did say, now I'm sure maybe they say this in all the cities, but they said Cleveland was one of their most popular, for them, the most popular places to play because of the crowd.
Yeah, because I think at the end the singer was like, Cleveland is like the home of rock and like metal, and I'm like, well then why does nobody come here?
That's right. It's like a kid that's left their house. They love their home, but they never return and go back. So it's the home of rock, but bands skip it and usually go to Detroit, Columbus, Pittsburgh, or something like that. So oh well. But it was the first time seeing them. So that was a real thrill to see Mastodon. All right, and then the last band was Gojira. So they are a French, I guess, prog metal band, similar to Mastodon. So I think it was actually a perfect pairing between those two bands, which was nice. And it wasn't the first time I had seen them. I had seen them the year before for the first time.
I had never seen them before.
Yeah. But similar amazing visuals, probably not as amazing as Mastodon, which they raised the bar rather high. I mean, the Gojira stuff was good, but Mastodon was really a whole other level.
Performance was still great.
Performance was great. There were some great, again, the crowd and band interaction, which was awesome. But then one of the most epic things, if you want to call it this, maybe that's overselling it, but because again, remember, this stage, behind this stage is the Cuyahoga River, which is, a main thoroughfare for shipping coming off the Great Lakes for freighters. So while Gojira is performing, a big boat just starts going by, and we're like, what? Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, so to see this, and we'll make a full screen so you can see the full thing, but it slowly went by, and I mean, it's an impressive sight. That thing's probably 600 feet, 700 feet long, and it is right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's maybe 50 feet behind the stage, 80 feet, whatever it is, and it rolled by. That is one of the coolest things. Like, we had seen some little boats earlier, which was kind of fun, but then you see a freighter go by, and you're like, wow. So you're listening to this metal show, and then there's this huge piece of metal rolling behind it.
Yeah, I don't think it like honked the horn though, because I'm pretty sure I saw a video where like I think it was Steel Panther. They were playing near something, and a boat went by, and they spent like 10 minutes just trying to get it to honk the horn. But I don't think that happened for us.
Yeah, it would have been hard. I guess at this point it was pretty much nighttime, but maybe it was hard for them to see. But that was really awesome. The drummer.
Yeah, he had like a little drum solo he did. And he sort of had like, I guess two, because like he did one, then stopped and he raised a sign that was like, I can't hear you or something. And then he raised another and that was like, F yeah. And it was really funny.
Yeah, so it's neat that he had his own like audience. The rest of the band's gone. He's just doing the solo, and he was kind of doing this interaction thing with everybody, which everybody got into it. That was awesome.
We sadly couldn't get a picture of it though. He was too fast.
Yeah, exactly. I should take a picture of that. And then the sign's down, and he's back to playing, and then back and forth. But anyway, that was really awesome. So, how would we rank the band? So we'll start with the opener, Lorna Shore.
I know Yellow. It's cool that I've seen them because they're sort of, I guess, popular. But I don't know. I don't really care much for them.
Solid red. I don't care for that style of music, and the vocals is the big thing. And it just seemed like just to be a wall of noise. I mean, it's almost like this speed metal, and I don't know. It wasn't for me, so that's a solid red. But Mastodon, green, absolutely a green. I mean, they're kind of co-headlining, so I think we got a pretty good long set out of them. I mean, it'd be great to see them again. Hopefully, only as an opener, so that it's still the same long production. I look forward to becoming more versed in the band's catalog. But yeah, that was a solid green. Mastodon was awesome. And then finally,
Gojira. I'd also give them a green. They're pretty good too.
Yeah. So the second time for me to see him was green the first time. Definitely a green the second time. A new album hasn't dropped, so or at least between the times that I've seen them. But
yeah, I think it's been like a year or two since they made an album, I think.
Yeah. So I guess hopefully if they have another album, they tour again. But yeah, Gojira was a solid green as well. And it was nice because they have a pretty good interaction. That's what I kind of remember. The first time they're interacting with the audience and stuff like that, which, some bands don't, or at least they don't do it well,
Phil.
Phil Anselmo, we're looking at you. So anyway, that was pretty awesome. So the merch. So what did we, after Lorna Shore, we went and stood in line. And I remember even people coming up, like we were halfway through the line. They were like, "Oh, where's the line begin?" And you're like,
somewhere back there.
It wraps around this building. Like, oh. And it didn't move fast. It was slow. But anyway, so we did it between sets. So what we ended up coming away with.
So I got the tour shirt, the Mega Monsters tour shirt with Gojira and Mastodon.
Yeah, and it had the dates on the back of that one. I had already had a Gojira shirt from seeing them, so I opted for just a Mastodon shirt. Again, like I feel like their style matches their visuals. They're very colorful. They have kind of like these really cool kind of like characters or just kind of general designs. And the shirt matched that. I thought that was really cool to see. Now they had a lot of stuff. I mean, all the bands, Gojira. Well, actually, Mastodon had a cool poster, but it was kind of expensive. But I mean, it was neat. So that was awesome. And then we both ended up getting a patch.
Yeah, we both got a Mastodon patch, which had the Leviathan artwork on it.
Yeah, which is really cool. And Gojira didn't have a patch or anything like that.
Yeah, I think they had a patch or a pin or anything.
Yeah, and Lorna Shore, I didn't pay too close of attention to what their stuff was.
I think they just had like a shirt and like a hoodie or something. I think that was it.
Yeah, well, a couple of shirts. But anyway, and then as we do, when we went in, we're kind of people watching. We were able to start when we were in line because we had not a lot of time, but let's say 10, 15 minutes to stand in line trying to get in. That we catalog the first 100 shirts that we see. And so here are our top 5 concert shirts. So starting at number 5.
Number 5 is Lorna Shorna with 5.
Okay. Which actually I was a little surprised by, because again, a band
Yeah.
I'd never heard of, and you just never know, like, how big are they, but they were well represented.
Then tied for 3 and 4th place are Metallica and Deftones, both with 6.
Which are kind of generic phone-ins, you know, everyone's going to have a Metallica shirt if you're into the metal scene, and then probably the same thing with Deftones,
Yeah,
too.
it's like, if you like I'd say like 99% of people who like new metal like Deftones.
Yeah.
And
So anyway, so those two followed up, and then second place.
Mastodon with 11.
Okay, I was not surprised by that, 'cause and again, I think with some of these too, if we would have kept counting, it would have grown throughout the day, because a lot more people I think were showing up. And then first place.
Gojira slightly edging out Mastodon with 13 shirts.
13 shirts. So I guess an expected top 5, with Lorna Shore being kind of maybe a slight surprise coming in with all of that. But
because most of the times when you go to a show, the band you're seeing is usually number 1.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Eventually we'll probably find one where there's a headliner and like their merch is not represented in there. It'll be fun to see if that's what band can't close the merch sale for their own fans. So we'll have to watch out for that one. Okay, did we have any notable shirts?
Primus was a notable shirt, which is a weird pick because they're like alternative, progressive, whatever.
Yeah, but they're pretty deep in the progressive. I mean, they're really prog rock.
Yeah.
out there. So I guess it fits, but I don't know if we've actually seen Primus in any of the other shows. So
no,
a rare sight to be seen. Anything else?
David Bowie, which is a weird pick, like classic rock. It's like sort of a weird choice.
Yeah. Is he kind of prog though?
Not really. Or at least the one album I've heard, it wasn't very progressive.
Yeah. All right. So David Bowie.
And then Gojira and Power Trip were both tied with 2 shirts each, which...
Yeah, Power Trip, which, I mean, at this point, if it's 2023, when did the lead singer die? 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think
Something
so.
like that. And so that there's still... It's not uncommon to see a Power Trip, but we saw 2 at the same show. And then Gojira is another kind of...
It's sort of like joke band, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I get there's... But anyways, the fact that we saw 2 of each of those was actually kind of fun as well. All right, so first, were there any firsts for this outing?
It's the first time we went to Jacob's Pavilion.
Right, so that was the first time for us. And I guess too, it was also a first like summer show, like it was outside, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we've really had one.
Yeah, but it was a great venue. It's actually even better now that it's been covered with it, because
it did rain between, I think. Yeah, as Gojira Mastodon, it rained between. And
man, it rained hard. Like it was coming down so hard, and we're like, well, look at us, we're dry.
Yeah, it was only like the last like 3 rows in the back got wet, and we're like, suck the suck, losers.
Yeah, I know, exactly. They all kind of came down, but so a great improvement by that facility. It was first for the bands, for you, for all 3 bands. I had seen Gojira before, but so that was a first. What else?
So it's the first time I saw somebody that I knew there, because a friend I knew from the grade above me, he was there.
Oh, that's right. I remember that's right. We were walking out like between, like kind of like just kind of walking around between sets. We heard your name being yelled, and we were like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
To see someone that you knew there. All right. So let's review the venue.
I'd give the venue a green. It's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, it was a solid green. I mean, parking I could see be a problem if it's timed wrong with other events in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But it's outside. It's just kind of a fun area of town. It's covered now. And if you want to opt for a couple bucks more and get reserved seating on the benches, that's actually decent. Because again, it wasn't like a huge expense difference. Yeah, I give the Jacobs Pavilion, I'm sorry, is a solid green. I mean, watching ships go by,
Yeah.
that's epic. Do you see anything else epic?
So, so we're waiting for Gojira to happen, and it was a pretty long wait. And we see the security pulling this guy out, and he looks like so drunk. And they're just pulling him out, and they set him on a chair, and we're like, I think he's gonna throw up.
Yeah.
And he threw up, and it wasn't just a bit. It was like a stream of just like yellow vomit everywhere. It was. And like everyone's cheering, just hear the whole crowd like, and
Yeah, because it was between sets, so we had nothing to watch other than this guy struggling to stand, struggle to sit. I mean, he couldn't do anything. And then when it was like watching a cartoon.
Yeah.
It was like just this. Everybody was cheering, and then afterwards, the guy bounced back, and he's like, he got up.
We're all cheering, and then he leaves.
Yeah, some like. I don't say paramedics, but someone came and kind of ushered him out. But
yeah, and even the guy that I was staying next to, he was like, "Yeah, don't do that. That's not fun."
So a life lesson for you that you want to avoid that in life. So yeah, that was memorable. That was crazy. So solid green for that. The merch.
The merch itself was a green, but only one merch booth. That's fun.
It's a solid green. It would be nice if they would have had something outside or a satellite place. I mean, I don't know what else they could have done. It's not the largest of facilities, but to have something that you could have taken care of outside, something like that. But whatever, it was what it was. We've learned a lesson now that next time we go back, like if we're getting there that early, just make a beeline and just get in line and get it over with. The overall concert.
Green. It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great show. I mean, it was a good, the two, headliners were a perfect match. They both put on a great show. I mean, I'm not a fan of the style of music, so maybe Lorna Shore is a epic, metalcore band, and I'm sure some people love that, but.
Yeah, there was like a small little mosh pit that started for a bit, but like, I don't know, it's like, I don't really, at least for me, I don't really feel like deathcore is like something I could mosh to, at least, I don't know.
I don't know. You'll find something.
I'm very picky what I can mosh to.
You have standards. All right. Well, we'll see what happens with that. So so that is our experience with this tour. So, well, thanks for watching.